Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our journey of self discovery and empowerment. Today, we are diving into a crucial topic that many of us struggle with: self acceptance. This is in continuation with my last video 5 on belief in self. How do we define self acceptance? It is acknowledging and accepting all aspects of ourselves, our strengths, our weaknesses, successes, and our failures. It's about embracing who we are, flaws and all, and moving forward with compassion and understanding of ourselves. It's a fundamental step in healing and personal growth that allows us to live more authentically and peacefully. Unlike self-esteem, which is about how much we value ourselves, self-acceptance doesn't demand conditions or qualifications. It simply is the embracing of oneself entirely. It's the act of accepting yourself and all your personality traits exactly as they are, deeply and unconditionally, without any criticism, whether positive or negative. This includes your physical and mental attributes. It gives you more confidence in yourself and makes you less vulnerable to criticism. Research shows that self-acceptance is fundamental for overall mental health and well-being. When you lack self-acceptance, you're constantly trying to hide, censor, or repress your true self. This can leave you feeling drained. It can hold you back in every area of your life. It affects your conviction and can prevent you from reaching your full potential. To achieve self-acceptance, you must learn to accept the part of yourself you consider negative or undesirable. Although it might seem counterintuitive, total self-acceptance can actually help us change the aspects of ourselves that we might be less fond of. Self-acceptance can boost your mood and shield you from the effects of stress and depression. It also helps you less self-critical and create a more positive, compassionate, and balanced view of yourself. Dwelling on the past will keep you stuck in the cycle of negative thoughts and emotions. Parenting style also plays a role in your levels of self-acceptance. Children take on board every criticism their parents level at them and accept them as truth. So, if your parents were overly critical or demanding, the voice of your inner critic will be strong too, and you may also have a fear of failure. On the other hand, those with more compassionate parents tend to show more compassion towards themselves. Children also don't know how to distinguish between their behavior and themselves. They think that if their behavior is unacceptable, that means they are also unacceptable. Therefore, people whose parents were critical are more likely to struggle with self-acceptance. People whose parents were more positive and affirming are more likely to have higher levels of self-acceptance. Many barriers can also hinder our path to self-acceptance: societal expectations, past traumas, besides our upbringing, can shape a critical inner voice that is hard to silence. For instance, being told repeatedly that we are not enough can make us dismiss our own worth. Think about the last time you felt completely at peace with who you are. For many of us, this might be hard to recall. Without self-acceptance, we are often in battle with ourselves, criticizing every mistake and dwelling on our shortcomings. This can lead to anxiety, depression, and a feeling of being stuck. But by accepting ourselves as is, we can move towards genuine happiness and more resilient mental health. Let me share a couple of personal experiences. As you all know, I was in an abusive marriage with an angry alcoholic narcissist, trapped under his power and control. I was blessed with 3 children in the first 4 years of my marriage, a daughter and a set of twin boys. In the meantime, my abuser had moved to an industrial area 400 miles away from my parents' house, in a place where there was no household help. I was left alone with myself, with 1 toddler and 2 newborn, and a disabled 4th child, my perpetrator, who would return home late, boozed up, and ask me to serve dinner. I would wake up in pajamas and sleep in the same pajamas with no time for shower, as twins never slept at the same time, giving me no time for myself. My long hair left uncombed for days were badly entangled always. I was going insane. I was not in self-acceptance initially. I was extremely tired, distressed, and on the verge of crying all the time, which affected my well-being, physical, mental, and emotional. Then I found the courage in me to be in self-acceptance, to ease my everyday anxiety, as this situation was going to take long and I could not afford to get depressed or physically ill. I became gentle and kind to myself, worked on my thoughts and emotions to replace negative thoughts with positive by putting on some music which calmed my mind and relaxed my muscles. The fogginess of the brain dissolved and clarity started to seep in. I chopped my long hair with much reluctance, bought wet wipes to clean my body the days I could not shower, got organized and decluttered a bit, and made other adjustments and accommodations. To reduce my mental stress, I started to do some breathing exercises and meditate 3 to 4 times a day, 5 minutes each, while feeding the twins. Sent my toddler daughter to play school. I then created a personal space in one corner to sit for 5 minutes twice a day and visualize nature and creativity. The snow-cladded mountains, the waterfalls, the wilderness, the white swans gliding in the infinite sky, the hummingbirds fluttering, the red roses, and so on. This created some empty space in my brain, not letting the automatic negative thoughts get in. It also helped hormones to kick in to give me some energy, which put a smile on my face. I also reframed the thoughts that were stressing my mind. This acceptance of my environment, being gentle on myself, brought self-compassion and some serenity. The other instance is when I moved to USA. Although I was quite westernized from Indian standards, but this was a different ballgame. In India, in the corporate world, I was used to an assistant working for a group of people who helped with phone calls, faxes, photocopying, besides filing and typing, an hourly helper who would bring flowers for the desk and a Bisleri water bottle every morning. In USA, my first encounter was entering an open office system with 5 by 5 cubicles for all at all levels of management. Then on my first day, I had to crawl under my desk to plug in landline phone sets and computer wires. A shock came to me when I had to do my own photocopying and faxing, and then I had to schedule a meeting figuring out Outlook calendar with a peer sitting in next cubicle to mine. Why not walk up to him and ask for a meeting as I did in India? It was construed to be an act of submissiveness when I would stand up from my chair when my manager approached, merely out of respect. My CEO drove his own car and found him standing in the same grocery register in the same line as I stood. At home, I had to do the cutting, cooking, dusting, garbage, vacuuming myself. No domestic help was affordable or available. The best part was when I had to choose one cheese from 300 varieties. It was all very distressing, and I was self-critical and in self-doubt of my discussion to move to USA. Why not Singapore, where you have best of both the worlds? I was not given any time to acclimatize. I was here out of my own choice, and I had to accommodate super fast. I soon adapted to a state of mental self-acceptance to forget about the past luxuries in India and focus on my current environment and be happy to be in a country where people crave to migrate. Accepting of my circumstances and myself was pivotal to overcoming these challenges. Brené Brown, the famous researcher and author, says, because true belonging only happens when we present our authentic, imperfect selves to the world, our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of acceptance. Let me talk about some practical steps to cultivate self-acceptance. First would be mindfulness and reflection. Start by observing your thoughts, replace them or reframe them to positive thoughts and feel good. I talked about this in my video 5. Number 2 would be journaling. Write down your thoughts and feelings. Seeing these on paper can make it easier to confront and manage them. Visualization is another one mentioned earlier. Find out a quiet corner and sit in a meditative pose to visualize the nature. Seek professional help. Sometimes we need external support to guide us through our self-acceptance journey, and that's okay. A coach can guide you through that process. Takeaways for my readers. To sum up, self-acceptance is not about perfection. It's about acknowledging where we are, understanding where we've been, and moving forward with an open heart. It's about saying, I am enough. True self-acceptance doesn't just happen overnight. Daily practice and self-care can help you gradually increase your level of self-acceptance over time. Call to action. Practice gratitude. Every day, write down 3 to 5 things you're grateful for. This can seem challenging at first, especially when you have a mental habit of focusing on the negative. But practicing gratitude every day can help you retrain your brain to focus on the positive. Reframe your negative thoughts. Negative beliefs are the voice of your inner critic. They cause a lot of suffering and prevent you from reaching unconditional self-acceptance. Reframe your negative beliefs about yourself by writing them down. For example, if you believe you are a bad person for something you did in the past, write it down. Once you've written your list, go through each belief and reframe it. Start by challenging each statement by asking yourself, is it true? Then replace each statement with more positive self-talk. For example, I'm a good person, but I'm only human, so I sometimes make mistakes. Choose your support system. Make a list of the people you spend the most time with. Think about the way they speak to you. Are they mostly positive or negative? Identify those who are mostly negative and ask yourself if it would be possible to spend less time with them. You could even eliminate them from your life completely. Try to remove as many negative people from your life as possible. Surround yourself with positive people who appreciate you and lift you up. 4th would be meditation. A regular meditation practice can help you detach from your negative self-talk. This can improve your mood and lead to more positive emotions. 5th, and very important, would be forgive yourself. Forgiveness for past mistakes and regrets is an essential step towards self-acceptance. Think of a situation, action, or mistake for which you would like to forgive yourself. Identify any judgments of yourself relating to that situation and write them down. For example, you might write, I shouldn't have done X. I'm so stupid. Next, forgive yourself for that belief. Write down something like, I forgive myself for believing I'm stupid. The truth is, I didn't know better. Think about what a compassionate friend might say to you. I was hurting and made a bad decision. I encourage each of you to take a moment today to reflect on your journey towards self-acceptance. Share your story in the comments below or any insights you might have. And if you are looking for more guidance, check out my free empowerment guide, Reclaim Your Life, link below. It's a great resource for anyone starting their journey towards healing and empowerment. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, self-acceptance is a journey, not a destination. It takes time, patience, and sometimes a bit of courage, but the path leads to a richer, more fulfilling life. Keep striving, keep growing, and until next time, take care of yourselves. See you in the next video. We will explore the power of developing self-esteem, talking about various components that collectively result in higher self-esteem, like self-confidence, self-love, self-compassion, and self-worth. Don't forget to like or subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Thank you for listening, and bye for now.